7:01 p.m. We'll call this meeting to order. I would like to do the pledge to start us off.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, please. I pledge allegiance
To the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Because this is a special meeting, I initially was just putting public comment at the end, but we do have one visitor. If he has any comment he'd like to make at this time, okay, just wanted to ask you as a courtesy.
Can I just ask a question, just to make sure we're doing everything legally?
Yep.
Have all the new and existing board members been sworn in?
No, I was not sworn in.
So she can't vote.
We're not there.
And since we're not voting, it's fine. She can sit at the table. I've confirmed, because I double checked that. You can sit at the table if you haven't been sworn in, but you just can't vote. And since we're not voting, it's a non-issue for tonight. But it will be an issue for the April meeting.
Take care of that, though. Thanks.
I get sworn out a lot.
So do I. Okay, so we're here just to discuss information that was sent to me from Tara Koza, the HR director, about some changes to the insurance starting July 2025. And it pertained especially because of some things that we have within our policy about us setting percentages.
Mm.
But, so I did forward that as much as I could get on to you guys, I forwarded to you, and then, it seems that they're just eliminating one of the plans, right?
Mhm.
Is it Access Blue?
No, it's
No,
Blue
no,
Choice.
Blue Choice.
It's Blue Choice.
The POS.
So Blue Choice, but no one at this time even takes it, right? And Erin, I might ask you to answer any some questions.
I'm happy to give my thoughts and answer any questions.
Okay.
Yep.
So there's 7 full-time employees who receive benefits.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. 5 of them are enrolled in the Luminous plan already.
Mm-hmm.
1 family, 4 single, and 2 are enrolled in Access Blue, both at the single rate.
Right, can you back up just a minute?
Yep.
Which one did you say has been eliminated?
Blue Choice.
Blue
Blue
Choice.
Choice, okay.
Thank you. And the names always confuse me too.
Yeah, a couple of them similar.
Yeah. So if you look on the second page that's actually stapled in my packet,
Yeah.
under plan enrollment, that's the part I just kind of read out loud. Near the bottom under plan enrollment, so the second page.
Yep.
And there is a caveat that we had about hiring date, and I don't know if you could speak to that at all in terms of, there was a piece about people having some kind of option, but no one falls in that category anymore.
Right.
So Tara had suggested.
So Tara has
eliminate
suggested
that.
just removing that because nobody in our staff falls under that.
Yep.
So it's unnecessary to even be in the policy. Even if this wasn't being changed, it's still unnecessary at this time.
And I don't know if the rest of you saw too, she mentioned that other CBAs in town had also chosen to go with not having that kind of disclaimer within their.
I think they were able to make those changes because a lot of them just redid their contracts. So I think they all looked at all of that.
Okay.
So it might have happened at the same time.
So, I'm definitely interested to hear what any and all of us think about these things. If any of you have a background in health insurance or other such things, Liz, you did some
Liz
HR right in the
Thomas.
back day.
Erin, have you, I know this is like suddenly, but do we know what the financial impact against the 25 budget is?
So,
Based on the any changes in the cost?
So it's going to depend on, so we have open enrollment is coming up soon, which gives our staff an opportunity to change their plans, and there's still 2 plans available. So I can't say what the impact will be because if someone changes their plans or if someone adds family members or has a baby or a life change, that could change it. So I cannot predict what that impact will be. That's why I think the town budgets the way it budgets to prepare for any of those changes. But at this time, I can't predict what that impact will be.
I appreciate that. I think that basically overall, do we have like an idea of the percentage of increase over for last year of the average plan?
I do not, no.
Okay.
So I do have my thoughts on the changes of this if anybody is interested, but
Yeah, just
if
one
not,
second.
that's
Yeah.
fine.
Liz, definitely in here, there is, I have to find it for you, there is a comparison between the two. Let me
Yes,
find
yeah.
it for you, if it's okay with everyone.
No, that's fine.
Everyone has to say, and I
I'm-
can find that for you guys.
So-
I'm here if you need me.
Was there anything that showed, I know, kind of based on Liz's question, what the employers are getting now, if that was figured out, if they went with the same plans, what that budget would be, or how that would hit the budget if they went with the same plan?
I feel like I saw that, I just want to double check because I want to make sure.
Yeah, it was there.
Was it?
It was.
I
Yeah, it was
haven't
there.
had a chance to look at
I
everything.
think it's that, I think it's toward the back.
While you're doing that, can I ask a question?
Please.
So, are these the only two companies that are available to us?
Yes,
Okay. And do you know why that is?
that's a town,
It's a town.
that's a town thing, has nothing to do with us. It's how, I mean, I believe they've been with this Blue Cross Blue Shield way before me. So how this was established, I wasn't part of.
No, that's fine.
Yeah. I'm sorry, Christine, can you repeat your question just so I can?
So if, Liz was asking what this looked like against the 25 budget,
Mm-hmm.
and you said you didn't know what policies the employees would pick. And I said if the employees picked the same policies, what would that number look like?
Well, because the plan is effective July 1, so that, which is when our FY '26 budget starts. So it does give, she did give numbers of what the plans will cost going forward. If you were, for example, because the other one's going away, so we only have Access Blue or Luminos. If, and it goes, she gave a cost for, let's say a single person on Access Blue would be $22,172.88 a year. So if the same people stayed on that Access Blue, that would go up from 16 and change, it looks like, to that 22 and change. Those are the numbers that I have.
That's a significant increase.
But I don't know if, like I said, those people can change plans if they wanted to. So, or they can add members to their family if they want to.
And another question, do
Yeah.
you folks get dental?
Yes, but this is not, dental is not part of this.
I'm just asking.
It's, yeah, yep, it's a separate thing. This only affects the Blue Cross Blue Shield Anthem
Right,
plans.
but our policy, what's listed in the policy, the personnel policy,
Mm-hmm.
does affect dental.
But this change does not affect dental. This change only affects,
But if we're talking about changing what's on the policy based on the fact that we're not doing before this date, after this date, blah, 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 it should also mention dental.
well, the dental insurance is mentioned in the personnel policy, and it says the library agrees, it has no date on it. It has no date attached to the dental insurance section.
Okay.
So I don't know if it applies in this case.
Okay, Erin, why don't you go ahead and just, while people are still looking at some of the numbers.
Okay, so I think I have this
Okay, got it.
figured out. So from Tara's email with that, it broke out the Access Blue and Luminos with the two people on Access Blue. Those are both single plans. Lumos, we had one single, and
We have four
I did that
singles.
backwards, sorry. I did 4 family and 1 single. Let me redo that.
remember, we have one full-time employee who will be coming on board too, so.
I'm just redoing
What
this,
is
make
the-
sure I have
the
the
one-
44.
Matt vacated his position, presumably somebody will take it, so.
Well, a different position.
Right, but it still, it was.
It's still full-time with health insurance.
So it's one of those same people that's already listed. Is one of the people listed that or?
Yeah, I mean, it's gonna be pretty much the same.
Right.
Yeah, it's not gonna be an additional.
Okay. So it comes out to 157,888.92.
You say that one more time?
157,888.92.
And that is what? What is,
That's what the breakdown is of the 2 employees on Access Blue. Both of those people have the single plans. We have, for Luminos, 1 family and 4 single.
Did you go based on next year's numbers or this year's?
is that the difference between the 2 years? Is that what,
I don't think so.
I guess I just
It
misunderstood.
says, as we look forward to the new plan year effective 7/1/25, the cost for each of the 2 medical plans offered will be.
Okay.
So these are the new numbers.
Okay.
I'm sorry, one more time, can you just recap that number, and that's,
Yep.
so that's what this 26 will be for that plan? Okay.
157,888.92.
Thank you.
Yep.
Liz Thomas, do we know what today's what it was, so that we can compare and see what the
Mhm.
average cost increase will be?
Yeah, which can you use that one?
It's the,
Last one.
you can go down 3 pages and the
Yeah.
things you can pass out. And that gives you, the cost currently. So,
And what's the number we have in our budget right now?
180 and change.
So.
but does that include dental as well? That's what I was trying to get to.
So, on page, one of this page is an email, I don't know if this is at all relevant, but it says
It's the
the
separate
town,
thing.
the town pays 100% of the premium for dental option 3. Employees who are like a higher level pay the amount over the cost of the dental option 3. So I'm guessing that either the town pays all of it or the employee will pay some of it. I don't know if that's helpful to you.
Well, no, just from the standpoint that how far does the $180,000 have to go? Does it have to also include that cost, the cost of whatever the dental plan is? Or
Well, if I had to guess, and Erin, you might be
Yeah.
able to speak to this, if I were an employee, I would choose the plan where the town paid 100% of my plan. So, employees who are like a higher level option will pay the amount over the cost of dental option 3. So I can't imagine that that's a staggering number. But it could be.
I could be wrong too, so I'm just gonna preface that, cause when I previously had Anthem insurance like this through through town of Pelham, the dental was part of it, involved as part, and it was just, so it wasn't a different cost that we had to worry about.
Yeah, because I don't think on the budget it separates.
It
Well,
doesn't,
when,
it doesn't.
when I was part of the state and when I was part of a school district, it was, although it was presented to us employees as it just being part of it,
Right.
they were paid for separately because Delta Dental is not Blue Cross Blue Shield.
Right.
So, or whoever the dental insurance is.
I think ours
So-
is just kind of blended into one, at least that's the way it looks to me.
So if we have 180K in the budget and the new amount is 157,888, that basically gives us 22,112 left over. So if you look at that number compared to what the choices are, really only that would cover the single access blue.
Single access blue.
Yep, because that's 22,172, and we would have 22,112. And I mean, I don't know if it's 180 exact or what, but it's a little.
So does that mean that only anybody hiring would only be allowed to choose that plan? Because that's.
No, I'm just
Oh, okay.
pointing
No.
that out as what we have budgeted for and what the remaining amount is. If the employees we have pick the same plans,
Mhm.
yeah, I'm just pointing out the numbers.
Okay.
Yeah, because
Yeah,
unfortunately,
you
this is
can't,
what the numbers are.
yeah,
and
you
we have
can't
to-
force someone to pick one plan over the other, just.
Right.
Well, as I was sitting in the airplane for 6 hours, trying to think of something to do, I was like, well, how would we word the personnel changes? And I was thinking of something, we will provide access to health insurance. The amount covered will be based on negotiated annual rates for policies. Due to rising cost of insurance, decisions on the amount or percentage covered will be decided by the trustees during budget deliberations each spring. There will be no payout for employees not selecting insurance coverage. Something like that, which is less,
Specific.
less specific. So it gives us more latitude to decide what's what. I mean, there's major change, even for the Luminos, between, well, not major change, but there's almost $2,000 for the Luminos single plan. That's a significant amount, increase, year to year. And then, of course, when you look at the Access Blue, it's even worse.
Right. I wouldn't call him Liz, but before we started, I said to Nancy that
Mhm.
the health insurance, I don't take it through my town
Mhm.
where I work, but it's going up 13% this year.
Mhm.
That's the staggering reality right now.
That's
Liz.
exactly right.
It's probably not even the average, it's probably, it could even be slight. My suggestion is we're doing a lot of hypothetical right now.
Exactly.
Can we let Erin, she's obviously analyzed this and she has some points
Well,
of issue
no.
and concerns and stuff. If she can share that with us, then we can start attacking it.
I mean, I could just share my thoughts, and obviously, I
Yeah.
know that this is a board decision.
Yep.
So the changes, I feel like the changes that they're asking us to do are not as complicated as we think they should be. In my opinion, I could be very wrong. I'm not an insurance expert. But I think the changes, we can't control the insurance costs, right? That's not something that we can control. So the only thing we can control is the wording in our policy that assists to that. So in looking at, I gave everybody a copy of what our policy says now. I just pulled the insurance piece out of it. And so some of the suggestions that I would like to see made here, or not would like to see, but thought as suggestions to make changes is, and one of the suggestions Tara had made, and I believe she spoke to you about, was remove the first sentence where it says hired before November 1st. So I think immediately we can do that. And also obviously on the third line down where it says 85% of the Blue Choice plan, because obviously that's not existent anymore. When it comes to the other plans, I think, we can discuss the rates, but again, we don't have any control of that. We only have control over the wording in our policy. So my suggestion to go forward would be to change the wording, and it's on the, essentially, 1, 2, 3, 4, where it says 4 employees hired. I would remove so you're essentially removing the longevity piece, right? So I would remove the 4 employees hired or promoted to full-time position on or effective July 1, 18.
Where is that?
It's under, it's,
Four.
Okay, yeah.
you found it? Okay. And just start that paragraph as the library shall contribute towards the cost of health insurance selected by the eligible full-time employee as follows. And it mentions the Luminos, which we have, and then it goes on to that. The other paragraphs prior to that are all related to longevity. So as much as I don't want to remove longevity, because honestly, the only other longevity piece we have is vacation. So that is something to think about. I think that it would kind of clarify everything, in my opinion. You could keep the statement, it's in the first paragraph where it says employees hired after employees hired between 2004 and 2018, because to be honest, the people that this is affecting were the two employees that were hired between those dates, and keep those as the dates if you'd like. But I think really all we have to focus on is changing the wording in the policy. We can't change the rates. We can't decide what people are going to choose, but we can change the wording in the policy to reflect that. I do think, when you think about longevity, the more, and I'm just speaking as a representative of my staff, the more you take away of these benefits or longevity benefits or whatever you want to look at it, it is challenging to keep employees when you continue to take things away. So I'm just keeping that in mind. I'm just speaking for them. They don't know that I'm speaking for them, but to recognize that, the more we remove from what a benefit for our employees, the more challenging I think it is to keep them long term. So I think really it's just a matter of my understanding, and certainly Tara, we can speak to Tara if she wants. I think it's more of just a wording, bless you, a wording situation as not necessarily a cost, because there's nothing we can do about that. That's my understanding.
Jan?
McLaughlin. Well, I understand that is the one possibility.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, the other
Absolutely.
possibility is to say, okay, this is our time that we're looking at this policy and how we currently reimburse for health care. And based on, $2,000, a minimum of $2,000 per employee for full-time coverage just for the Luminos plan, we may not be able to say we're going to cover 100% of the Luminos plan, regardless of the kind of Luminos plan you choose, and XYZ percentage. I mean, we may need to back off on that because we may not be able to sustain that. Mm-hmm. I would be concerned about leaving all that other wording in, because I don't know. I think we're kind of locking ourselves into, we have to always do this, and this is our chance to say we don't always have to do that.
Okay, I'm sorry, I forgot more of this.
I agree with what Jan said, but in addition to that, I noticed that the school insurance is significantly less.
Mm-hmm.
And I know we're riding on the towns, but I think we should also approach our town liaison and say, why are we not doing this as a group? Because the higher numbers, the lower we can get the insurance costs. And I think we need to explore that as a possibility, because some of these rates are pretty high.
And also, I'm sorry, for family coverage, paying 100% of family coverage, that's huge. I know other companies will, paying 100% is practically unheard of, but paying, for a whole family 100% on top of that is unheard of. I know, like my husband's company, if I have the ability to get insurance on my own, he has to pay, and I stay on his insurance, there's like a deductible he has to pay.
Well, we do have to pay a deductible with Luminos. It's a $5,000 deductible.
Well, not so much a deductible, but just if say your husband has access to his insurance from his work, but he's going on yours because he's getting 100%. In my husband's company, they have to pay some. It's almost like a penalty. It's not like a deductible.
We had to do that as well.
Yeah, but
Okay.
it's like a penalty because he has access to insurance. He's just choosing not to use it.
That's weird, because my husband's insurance, if he doesn't use their insurance and he goes on mine, he actually gets money from his
Right.
employer
Right.
for not going on it.
Because it's cheaper.
Yeah, it's certainly not the same cost at all, but
It's the same thing,
Yeah.
but still.
Yeah, because they actually like, I mean, it's like it's a small amount of money in compared to what they would be paying insurance. So I think it's like a thank you, but yeah, it's definitely not the same amount of money at all. It's not like he's getting the equal amount, I think, but I mean, every place is different.
He's probably not getting 100% coverage from his insurance either if he took his insurance.
Well, his insurance is actually better than mine.
So he gets 100%.
I don't know if he gets 100%, but he gets, he works for a private school, so they have different benefits and incentives there. But yeah, his is actually really good.
Yeah, I guess my
But
point
it would
is-
cost more if all of us went on his plan.
Yeah,
So,
I guess my
yeah.
point is that, not, obviously, companies do it differently and they'll pay for the employee, but if you add on
Yeah.
family members, there's,
Well, I know sometimes it's different too, like so you have a single 2-person or family, so you could have 17 people in your family and you'd pay this amount. It changes after 2 people. So yeah, that's different too.
right.
So,
Liz?
I think this is really important and good issues, all the points that have been brought out. I think that we have a culture and we usually follow, what we've been doing in the past. But sometimes I think you need to question it. My 2 concerns are, I think that paying 100% is like extremely generous. In the general populace out there, you're not gonna find that, and so, it's really great, but then it's also slamming our taxpayers, okay? The other thing is that to turn around and do something just the library and say, oh, we're only gonna pay 50% or 60%. And if the town does not do the same thing, it's gonna really look bad on us, okay? And it's gonna really hit us bad. I think a discussion like this is really important, but I think that we need to also decide, talk to other, like the budget committee and the town council and get their idea
We
of,
don't have that time though.
well,
so we have to submit this change by April 11th.
yes, yeah. I
So,
know.
and there was information, she did share information, Tara did, about some of the union contracts and what they are doing. And, I mean, she said that, I'm sorry,
Which is why I asked that question.
I don't know, I believe she sent it to everybody.
It's,
Um,
it's in that packet, it's.
Oh, it is in that pack,
and
okay.
it's- If you're talking about where it says 96%, 95%,
Yes,
that one.
yep, yep.
It's in this last page in this large
Yep,
paragraph.
that's the paragraph I was looking at. So she does speak to what other town departments are doing, but obviously they're in the union contract, but just because they're union doesn't mean that we can't follow them
I'm
too.
gonna read that.
So, yep, sorry.
This is 4 or
But
5.
are they actually paying 100% of all the
There are
insurance?
2 that are.
So just listen to this
There
for a
are
second. In
departments
4
and
of the
some
5
don't.
new contracts that will be effective 7/1/25, the employer pays 100% of the Luminos plan premium for the first 2 years of the agreement, but don't forget it's a high deductible, so that's
Yes.
why.
Yes.
Right? And in the 3rd year, the employer pays 95% and the employee pays 5%. In the 5th contract, whichever group that is, we can look, the employer pays 96% and the employee pays 4% of the premium in the first 2 years, the 3rd year 95.5. The other 2 contracts were not up for renewal this time for 100% of the premium. For the Luminos plan, the employer paid for that for the time being. In all cases, if the employee elects a plan other than Luminos plan, he or she will pay the additional premium costs over and above the 100% premium. So those numbers are in line with that.
Mhm.
So it's like that balance of, sure, it's 100%, but they're actually paying a ton, out of pocket because of the high deductible. Jan?
Okay, so if we look at what we have been paying, we were paying 85% of the Blue Cross or whatever plan that doesn't exist anymore.
The Blue
But,
Choice.
Blue Choice.
Blue Choice. So the with school employees and all those other folks, they have written into their contract, that they don't have to do the cost share for some of this stuff. There is no cost share. So, And same thing with the unions that were just negotiated, the 5 that were just negotiated. You know, the maximum that they could have to pay is 4%. Well, you know, but when we were looking at merit, then they were holding up well, we only offer a 3% merit, and you guys were offering a 5% merit. That's not fair. But the insurance isn't fair either.
Right.
Because it's not fair the other way. Because we're not being given the option to match that, what the town gets, or match what the school gets. And I agree that we should be broadening our pool, because, and that's why I asked the question. It also doesn't mention about the administrative people, how much they get for theirs.
Nancy?
Yeah, so Nancy Hendricks, Board of Trustees. So I agree, it would be nice to have a really big pool, but to Aaron's point earlier, there are union negotiations involved, and we don't have anybody in a union. Point number 1. Point number 2, I'm not sure I want a union. Point number 3, I think the school district has or offers a Cigna, and I don't know if that's we can't.
No,
so
we don't
you
have
see
that
we-
offer.
Right out, we haven't even left
This
the
is what we
gate,
have.
and we run into problems, you know?
Yeah.
So, but I agree, we have to somehow figure out how to make the pool bigger, but I think we have to be realistic in terms of how we do it and don't burn a lot of time trying to figure it out if it's really not gonna be beneficial to us. And if Cigna is still their insurance company and not ours, I don't know that there's any point in talking about it.
Yeah, because we don't, our only options are, well, going forward will be these 2 plans, the
Right.
Luminos
I
and
gotcha.
the other one. We don't have the option of the Cigna.
Christine?
So just to Liz's point, where she said that, you know, we have a specific culture and we've been doing things a certain way, but that doesn't mean we have to keep doing them the same way. And then, and to Jan's point, that, you know, the library's increases and pay have been significantly higher than the town. So, like I said, it's, you know, there's, you know, if you're trying to be fair, it's not adding up either way, so.
Can you elaborate on that a little bit? I'm just not sure what you mean about the library's pay has been more than.
So because they wanted us to go down to 3%, and we were at 5%, and then there was a big to-do about, you know, what the town was getting, like, say, you know, the police station versus the library. You know, we did go down to 3.5%, but if the insurance, if they're getting the 100% versus the 96, the 95%, that's different as well too.
Right, so if they're, I'm sorry.
No, go ahead.
So Nancy Hendricks, Board of Trustees, so their pay raises may be less, but their insurance coverage is more generous.
Mm-hmm.
So our pay raises may be a little higher, but our insurance is not quite as attractive.
Mm-hmm.
So, you know, to me, it all kind of washes out, you know?
Erin?
I don't think it's fair to punish staff regarding insurance because we get a little bit more pay than other departments. I also don't think it's fair to compare us to police who have union contracts and people who negotiate for them. We don't have that.
Well, that's what I.
So you guys are our negotiators. You guys are our support team. So we look to you for that advocacy and support. So I ask that you don't look at this as like, because we didn't lower it, and what it feels like to me is what you're saying is because we didn't lower it to where people wanted us to lower it, we should punish them with the insurance.
I'm not saying
That's
that.
I'm sorry, excuse me. That's exactly what it feels like.
Okay.
And I don't think that's fair.
You can
Because
take it
I'll tell-
however you want to
Okay,
take
Hold on,
it.
hold on.
I would like to say, making a statement like that will affect the staff.
I'm just pointing out the comments that were previously made and the differences between the town and the library.
I understand
That's all
that,
I'm saying.
but it sounded to
I'm
me.
not calling out for,
And
let's
Christine-
punish the library employees and take away all their benefits.
And Christine, that's why I had you clarify and elaborate, because the first way you said it sounded a certain way. So that's
Okay.
actually why I asked you a
Alright,
follow-up
well,
question to make
okay.
sure that it was
But
a
no,
little
and
more clear.
again, you can take it whatever way you want, but my intention is not to punish
Okay,
the library employees and take away all their benefits.
okay, thank
Or
you.
get them fired or anything else that might be thrown around out there.
Okay, thank you.
Okay, so like we said before, this is probably more easily fixed than we need to make it a bigger deal about. We'll come back right back to Maura. And it sounds like we have a lot of questions about how this insurance got to be and why we don't have certain rates that we do and why do other places have things. So like I've got a question, a list for Dan, right? Dan is our new, Dan is our
Bouchard,
new
yep.
liaison. So things that we can ask. Maura?
So I think that we can't necessarily do anything about the insurance for the upcoming year because we were sort of piggybacking off the town, and we added to their numbers, which helped them, and I understand that. But I think moving forward, we absolutely need to get Dan to help us work together, because if we can do the school, the town, and the library as a bigger group, we will get a better rate. And I think we really need to do that because it is a smaller group. We probably are paying a lot more than we should be. So moving forward, I feel like we need to do that because I understand the point, because if a taxpayer looked at this and said we're paying $45,000, they're gonna want to know why. So we need to work on this going forward, even if we can't do anything about this now. So I think let's focus on the verbiage for now, but we should look into other options. I think we have a responsibility to do that.
Yeah, I agree. Nancy, before I go to you, do you know from your school board days, is there a reason why the other employees aren't part of the same kind of insurance?
I didn't realize that the school had different
Yeah.
insurance than
To
the
my knowledge,
town.
they did.
Evergreen.
Because they're,
Oh,
you know,
okay.
they're a completely separate municipality than, you know, the town. So they have their own unions, they have their own contracts, you
Okay.
know. They have a really large pool
Yeah.
to choose from,
True.
you know. So, I mean, if Dan could figure that out and help us get onto Cigna, that would be lovely, because then we could have a nice big pool.
Well, let's get our liaison
Yeah.
doing some stuff to help us out here.
Well, he was
Should
just
we-
elected, Moira, we'll get him. We'll get him to the next one.
Liz?
My suggestion, or something that I think should work, is let's work with Erin on immediate, what we need to do just to get through this, okay? Let's keep in mind that our job is to support the
library.
community, to support the library,
That's right.
the employees, but also we have to be fiscally conscious that at some point in time, we need to change our culture, because our culture was based on a time when, you know, that the parameters were so different.
100%.
Okay, so we really need to start on every line item, looking at how can we save? Where can we cut? Where is fair, whatever isn't? You know, you have employees. We have a really great staff of employees who love their job. We don't want to see that change.
No.
You know, people love the front end of this library. If it wasn't such a great front end, the back end we've really had our problems and we're gonna deal with them, okay? But let's keep things right now as innocently effective, you know, as possible. But I would say, if we're looking at changing policy and rewording policy, we may not want to do that right now. Because we may want to look at the policy long term.
But that's what we're being asked to do.
But we need to, according to Tara, we need to change the wording in our policy that's going to reflect this change.
That's what
So
I'm
in
saying.
for
Yeah.
this section, we do need to change
Yeah.
the wording.
And what I'm saying is working what we have to do immediately
Mhm.
to you know, to be.
I mean, I think it's a
be
good, I mean, to
consistent.
Maura's point, I think it's a good idea that we could just change now to recognize the change that's reflective now and then look into this a little further. I have no problem with that, because I think there could be a great benefit if there were more on us on one plan for the town. I don't know if there are rules that we can't do that. Again, that would be a great project for Dan, or great questions, but unfortunately, and Helen, excuse me, knows that we're under this tight time crunch where we don't have a lot of time to do that research, and that presents its own challenge.
That's a great idea. Maura, you came up with a brilliant idea. Get what we have to do right now, but keep in mind that we've got future work to do.
No, we're not.
No,
But-
we're not voting
but
on that
the
tonight.
good
We're
news
not
is
voting
we
on
can-
it.
Okay.
Let's go
We're
through the
discussing.
verbiage, let's
Yes.
make sure it sounds
Yes.
good. then we can look at it again, we can marinate on it, that's a favorite word, right? We can think about it, come back next week. and
So
we
the
can-
thought is, what I was going to present was that if you guys want to make some changes in the verbiage, that's fine, and then I can come up with a draft that I can bring to the April 4th meeting, April 4th or April 2nd? Sorry. The second
week,
meeting.
right?
Yes,
Yeah.
next week.
Next week.
For review, if that's acceptable. But you just tell me what you'd like to change it to, and then I will certainly do that.
More.
So just a quick question here. When you're talking about this, are you talking about striking like the first 3 paragraphs and starting at the 4th where it says 4 employees? Is that what you specifically meant?
That's kind of like what I was saying, because the first 3 paragraphs do speak to the longevity, and if you're taking away the longevity piece, you could, instead of striking all of it, just keep the part where I had mentioned the employees hired the employees hired between 2004 and 2018. The library shall contribute towards the cost of health selected by the eligible employee at the rate of, so blue choice is going away. So yeah, we'd have to adjust the verbiage to represent just the 2 plans. Because of the longevity piece, if you take that away, where it's just going to say the library shall contribute towards the cost of health insurance selected by the eligible full-time employee as follows, which is the Luminos, but there is also that other plan in there, which is Access Blue, excuse me. So I think we have to, I don't know if you want to include Access Blue in that, I don't see Access Blue listed.
I
So.
would like the Jan McLaughlin, Board of Trustees. I would like to see us delete the first 3 paragraphs and instead of saying the Luminos plan, say high deductible plan.
Well, at the bottom, it does say luminous high deductible in the paragraph, the 4th
Right, I'm
paragraph.
just saying, it
Don't take out the luminos part?
Take out the Luminos, because we don't know if next year Luminos will be, available or not. And that, I think that there should be some matching, even on the Luminos for the family coverage. When you look at the amount, we're talking 22,000 versus 59,000. That's a big difference for a benefit. So that's the other thing I would like to see us do.
What are we gonna say something before Jim?
Yeah, I was gonna say that if we probably need to take the second sentence, there should be no, we probably have to take something about the differential and put it down here below. So if we start it for employees and we have the Luminos, then we'd have to add something to say if you choose a higher plan, you pay the difference.
Mm-hmm.
Well, there is no higher plan than luminos.
Yeah, there is.
The Access
Access Blue.
Blue, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, it's higher cost but on higher deductible.
Right.
Right.
Oh, I understand what you're saying now.
And Liz, do you wanna say something? No? Maybe. I know.
A great moment. No, I think that we're on the right track, and I think that we need to, right now, we need to meet the needs of the town to get this done. Keep it simple, do the minimum that we need to do to meet those needs, and leave our options open. But this is something we're gonna have to put on the plan, the agenda, to work with the town, to do more, research and to see what can be done, to help the cost deferment. But let's do what we need to do right now, because we really, change the verbiage you need, get rid of the first 3 paragraphs, and then,
I have my laptop here. I could start typing it and we could rearrange things. I'm just saying, if we want to try, then we can kind of see it, what it looks like, what we're kind of proposing, if that would help people.
yeah.
That
I
would be
think so.
helpful for
Yeah.
me,
Okay,
if that's okay.
I'm fine doing that.
I mean, we're just doing that one section, so.
Yeah, I think that way,
I thought Christine was our designated
no,
typist.
well, she's a good writer. I happen to have my laptop with me tonight. The one that actually accesses my emails.
And then, Madam Chair.
Yes, ma'am. Mrs. Hendricks.
Thank you. Nancy Hendricks, Board of Trustees. So, I don't know who said it, but I liked on this paragraph where we start to, I think Erin, you said it, to eliminate the words library employees hired after 11-104 and before 7-118, and then just have that paragraph start with the library shall, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera.
That was the paragraph they just said that we were
Yes.
striking.
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, wait, is it?
No.
No, we're not striking that one.
I
No,
thought she was talking about up here.
I was talking about for employees at the bottom. It's the fourth paragraph, I believe.
So starting
Just that
there.
first sentence, or that first,
Oh, I got it, okay.
and where it says the library shall contribute would start this
Yeah,
paragraph,
okay.
if that makes sense. Do you wanna, Helen,
See,
it would,
that's a whole different thing though, because that's talking about the health savings account, not the insurance.
no, the library shall contribute towards the cost of the health insurance selected by the eligible
Okay.
full-time.
Let's start at the top.
Okay.
Let's all get on the same page. And are we striking, I knew originally we were talking about we have to get rid of that date because that
Right.
was, and that's what Tara from HR
Mhm.
said to kind of get rid
Yep.
of because that was the problematic part. So, are we keeping anything in this first paragraph?
Mm-mm.
No.
Yeah, I don't think so. It references the old plan. I don't
Okay.
think we should.
So then, and then we go down to this, there should be no payback, not doing that either.
That's gonna get moved down.
So get down, okay, so we'll make an arrow for me, so we'll make there we go. And then, in the event, do we need this paragraph?
In the event that an employee opts for more comprehensive coverage, that one?
Yeah,
Yeah, I'd take that piece and move it to the bottom.
okay, so I'll wait and type the.
Like under
okay.
the,
Alright, let me type these two up and then I'll move.
So what's the first, so I guess what's the first paragraph? It's the library shall contribute, is that what we decided? Where
Somebody will have to.
Yeah, yes.
towards the cost.
okay, so that's the first one, okay. I just lost track of.
Alright, just wanna make sure. Erin, I'll check my comments after, that's not, I'm kind of flying through stuff.
Oh, no, just, yeah, if you could just type it and send it to me, I'll
Okay.
fix it up. I just,
I'm like,
if I do it on here, it's gonna look like
okay, that's why I figured it might
craziness.
be easier. for
No,
me.
thank you, I appreciate that. And then you could just email it to me and I could put it into a draft and have it at the next meeting.
There's nothing else after that that we've changed, right? It's just basically this first page.
yeah.
Just mentions choice. Okay, we'll take that. Jan?
Jan McLaughlin. There is a insurance buyout clause that provides $2,500 per year for people who don't choose to have the health plan,
Mhm.
and I think we need to strike that.
Do you want us, can I ask why?
Yeah, because I think that in reality, although it happens in the private sector where people are actually paid to take one insurance, somebody's insurance over something else, I don't think it's of a financially ethical position to take, pay people to not take a benefit. So I think that when we list it like that, we're making sure that that's going to be there forever, and or until we do this again.
We could add, like, so the one I have in my contract, or whatever, has a sunset clause on it, so that it might not exist forever. It's like kind of it's re-looked at every year or every 2 years. I have this benefit, I benefit from it, type of benefit. So I'm just saying that that's in there, and we're told every year, this might not exist next year, this might not exist next year.
Well, I mean, we're already
So-
talking a $2,000, minimum $2,000 difference between one insurance to the other for each person, and we're talking 7 employees, perhaps 8. You know, if you then multiply that potentially, you know, $4,000 or $5,000, $5,000 or $6,000, I just don't think we should be paying people to not take benefits. That's all.
So you're, currently no one on staff does that right now? So you're taking it out, the risk that someone might do it?
Right.
Okay, I just need to clarify.
Yeah, no, so just to say, you know, let's not even have it out there.
Actually, I think this is the perfect time to do it, when no one's gonna be affected.
Right.
You know, if you're gonna do something, you know, no one can complain because they're not affected.
No, I'm taking it out. Yeah.
Okay, I've got those 2 middle things written, so in a minute I wanna hear what I'm writing about. Laura?
I just want to ask a follow-up. Jan, if you were to propose something for a family plan, hypothetically, what would you propose? What's your idea?
That we would pay a single or a 2-person plan, and anything above that cost for a family plan or for additional insurance would be paid for by the insuree or employee.
So those with family members would have to pay all by themselves, and anybody else wouldn't have to pay?
They wouldn't have to pay all by themselves. They would pay the additional costs. So
Okay.
let's say it's $25,000. It's $44,000 for, $33,000 for the Luminos 2-person plan. But for the family plan, it's an additional $12,000. That's, you know, a significant amount of money. So,
The
I would-
Borough trustee, sorry.
Oh, yeah.
I feel though if we're doing that, that is a strike against our current librarians, right? Like, cause then we're punishing them for having families, and I
It
don't
would
know
be,
that we wanna do that.
it's
If
only
they have a
one.
family plan now, then all of a
Yeah.
sudden they're gonna have to start.
I don't know why we'd wanna do that. I think we're adjusting for the fact that they've dropped from 3 plans to 2, but I don't think we're trying to restructure the insurance plans of our librarians. I think we're just trying to adjust the policy. Is that what we're supposed to do tonight? I don't know if I'm missing something.
Yeah, well, tonight we need to get the verbiage fixed on this, which isn't really that hard, at least for these 2 things, I think, but we are adding to the list of more questions
Yeah.
for a later time, which is fine, and it's fine that we're digging in, and we just kinda, I feel like we sometimes go around in circles and don't always solve things, and that's,
Yeah.
I think we all feel frustrated about that. Can I just have us go back then
Yes,
for a minute?
yes,
Please.
yes.
Okay, so, would this be starting, then we're getting rid of the 4 employees hired or promoted to a full-time position, because those people don't exist anymore, right, Erin?
Mm-hmm.
So I would start with the library shall contribute.
Mm-hmm.
Is everyone else okay with that? And then
Yeah.
starting at that kind of area? And if anyone could kind of, looking through that paragraph, shout out to me anything that they're thinking about more on.
So you have the library shall contribute towards the cost of health insurance selected by eligible full-time. I think you have to add full-time there.
Yeah, I said to Ed,
Employees.
yeah, that was
Thank you.
one of the changes I had mentioned.
Okay.
So we are removing the payback for the differential?
Don't know.
No, we're not there yet.
Hold on, we're still on the front page.
Sorry.
we're staying on the front page for a
Okay.
minute. We're
I
gonna
hope
hold
not.
on, just wanna get that fixed, and then contribute to. Does full-time eligible or eligible full-time matter? If I do it one way or the
Aaron
other?
will straighten.
I would say eligible full-time.
Okay, Aaron. Thank you. This backwards.
Shall, yeah, you're right.
So. We have, okay, the library shall contribute towards the cost of the health insurance selected by eligible full-time employees as follows. So far, so good? 100% premium for Luminos,
Mm-hmm.
high deductible health plan with a single, two-person or family coverage. In event, we have to keep this part right, in event an employee opts for a plan other than Luminos, the employee will pay the additional premium cost over and above the 100% of the premium of the Luminos plan. There's, and then it goes down to those other two that were up before. There should be no payback of any differential if an individual chooses a lesser plan.
Yep.
Right, so if you go from the access to the Lumos,
Right.
we're not back paying you.
Okay, but I don't have to write that.
No.
Do you think it, no. In the event the employee opts for more comprehensive coverage through an alternative, now this is where actually Blue Choice gets mentioned again. Blue Cross Blue Shield plan offered through the health trust, such employees shall be responsible for payment of the difference between contributions provided by the Blue Choice was mentioned here again. For Blue Choice Plan 1, so we should get rid of that part.
Yeah. Provided by the library for, you could say
Access
Access
Blue.
Blue, because that's the other plan.
But that's the other plan for the next year, we don't know.
Right.
No, Access Blue is the plan now. We have Access Blue now.
Okay.
We had 3 plans now. They're removing the Blue Choice one, to my understanding, because of the lack of enrollment in that plan. That's my understanding.
I mean, basically, the choices are a high deductible plan or an HMO. Basically, those are the two choices
Yep.
people are being given. And I think if you keep it as less specific, I think that's my opinion.
I think, I just don't want to be confused. If we don't mention the plans, might be confusing. And if we have to update it once a year with the names of the 2 plans, that doesn't seem like that big of a deal, I guess. Liz, you're right.
I think you should throw in the sunset caveat to, to say that this will be, looked at.
Reviews
This is
each year.
revisited yearly based on negotiated.
Circumstances or something.
Do you want some, Liz? Do you want me to get you some water?
Based on market conditions.
Okay.
Based on taxpayer feelings.
Do you want a Ricola?
Huh?
Do you want a Ricola?
Oh, I have a cough drop there,
Oh,
but she's
okay,
bringing,
alright.
Erin's bringing me money.
Yeah.
She can bring me some water. Thank you.
Yeah.
I said you're bringing me money. I didn't mean that.
And then we were all going.
Okay.
I am the wrong person to bring
All right,
you.
then I get to,
taking it away.
The health savings account, is all that staying the same for the health savings account part? Or
Yeah,
is
that, to my understanding, that's not changing on their end. Cause that's related to the
I
Luminous
actually don't
plan.
know, what the town is doing with this, I'm assuming it stayed the same, but is that accurate, I would ask?
We don't know.
Yes. Cause that's related to the Luminous plan, it's not related to the Blue Choice plan.
That's because federal law restricts it, a health savings plan to people who have a high deductible.
So it's the trade-off, so as someone who has
Right.
Cigna,
Right,
I can speak to that, so we get
Yeah.
the same thing, so that it helps you out with the first chunk because the deductible is so high.
Mhm.
Okay. So I'll leave it in for now. Yeah.
Yeah, I believe it's, that's not changing.
And then what about, as we get here to the end of the page, exciting, is the very last can someone check the very last paragraph for me before I
Yeah,
get there?
so, an employee's first year contribution shall be prorated. It says may be
Thank you.
prorated, but it should be shall.
Thank you.
But that's only based about the health savings account.
Right, that's only related to the health savings account.
Is that the only change you think, Christine, for that paragraph?
I don't think so.
Well, we wouldn't bill them for a full year of insurance either, so, I think it's okay.
Mhm.
I would like to point out that the last paragraph in that section does speak to that the library reserves the right to make changes to the insurance carrier's claims, blah, 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 blah. So I don't know, I mean, I know someone had said to put in that, you know, you had mentioned that it may not be available next year or whatever. That might speak to that enough.
This one at the bottom?
The last paragraph on
Very last on.
the very last one in that section, it's on page 15 in our,
Okay, sorry.
it speaks to that, so I don't know if you have to put something else in,
Okay,
just so you don't have to do more work, but,
okay. And then can people check out page 14 too, is the only thing we're interested in tweaking the insurance buyout? Is everything else on that page?
I believe nothing on that page
Yeah.
mentions the Blue Choice,
Okay, so we should be, okay.
so I think that should be okay.
So is the buyout staying in, or are we taking that out?
Took that one out. Alright, I just wanna make sure, okay, so I think I got everything from the first page.
Yes.
It just might need the cap holes.
Yep, I can fix that. You got most of the work done.
I think I did, okay. Does anyone else wanna speak, either reply to what Jan had said earlier about the insurance buyout, or have any other thoughts on that?
In my personal opinion, I don't think it should be taken out. I'll just speak for that.
More?
I think the point of no one being on it means it would potentially be a good time to take it out. And if we have to give Tara percentages, correct,
No.
on
Yes.
the,
Yes.
okay. So, we don't know the exact percentage of the increase of the Access Blue exactly, but if we're going to have, we're not voting on this tonight, I think we should all just check what other libraries in the area are doing. And if we need to have a discussion around the family piece, we can have that discussion if we're gonna give percentages. but I don't think we have enough information at this point in time.
Okay, and for the percentage piece, that would be, not the 100%, the.
Well, if we were to propose something, and I think this is what you have in mind, Jen, and if I'm incorrect, please correct me, but if we were gonna say, okay, the cost to go, I'm gonna use round numbers, from two-person at 1,000 to family at 2,000, will cover 50%, and the remaining would be passed on. If we're gonna have that discussion, I think we should check and see what other places are doing. I don't think we have enough information to really have a full discussion.
Okay. Anyone else? Christine?
I agree with Liz, Jan, and Maura that we should remove the buyout. No one's taking it right now, no one's utilizing that benefit, so now's the perfect time to remove it.
Doesn't mean we can't add it back in later.
Why do you want us to leave it?
I just feel like there's a lot being taken away, and we're not doing anything with it now. It's not hurting anybody. We're not using it. Why not keep it for the same reason that you want to take it away? I want to keep it. But
It's a financial liability. That's
Right.
Budget.
I understand that, but
I hear that too. My personal opinion as someone who benefits for something like that, is to keep it because it makes me nervous about being able to convince a board to put it back in.
Well,
That's just evolutionary opinions. Liz?
if you look at it, the buyout is cheaper than what you're gonna have to pay for the insurance if they stay on the insurance, right?
Mhm.
So it's kind of win-win, I guess, if you keep it, because if it encourages, it's when there's a family of two people working and they both have insurance. They usually will pick the insurance that gives them the most, or that combined with the buyout from another policy will make it the most attractive. It works for families, it does work.
I think it's almost like, if you're saying it's a liability, it's almost like, if you turn it the other way, it's almost a savings, because
That's
if
what
you
I
have
just said.
someone,
That's
right,
what you
exactly.
said.
If you have someone that's full-time and they chose to be on their partner's insurance and not use ours, we're actually saving money by only paying them the $2,500, as opposed to the full insurance amount, which could be 45, 59,
So-
whatever that looks like.
Nancy?
Well, I was gonna say, since we can't vote on this because, we have two people that haven't been sworn in, I say we just leave it and then next week we take a vote.
Well, I can type up are you talking about the policy itself?
I'm talking about the buyout.
Oh, I'm sorry. My apologies.
Maura?
So the other piece of this too is the reason why we probably don't have people taking this buyout is if we're gonna pay 100% and you have two people working at two different places, they're probably taking the
Yep.
100% because that's 100% and paying something somewhere else.
Right.
So I also don't think the likelihood of this being utilized is strong either. I don't really think it's a big incentive, because if you get 100% paid, you'll take that. So even if you have someone you're married to with another insurance. So I don't really know that this is a true incentive.
Okay, so Maura has suggested we check in with other libraries, other municipality employees who are just do libraries.
Well, I think library is the best place to start,
Okay.
obviously, since it would be closer, but
Okay.
yeah.
Can we all agree to reaching out to something, and getting that information so we have it for next week? Is it an issue if we report out information to each other that we find out through email? Is that having a discussion?
Yes.
No discussion, just
Okay.
information.
Can we give information?
You can give information, but people can't respond.
Okay, so
Do not reply all.
Correct.
So if we just say, this is information I gathered from the Wyndham Library, and we leave it at that?
Yeah.
That's all following rules and everything? Okay.
Yep.
Liz?
My suggestion is that someone comes up with, the 2 or 3 or 4 questions we wanna ask, so it's consistent.
Okay.
Because if we all hear something different, and we all get different information, it's not gonna be effective.
Yeah, I guess, what are we asking those libraries? That's a good point.
Yes.
Like, what are we
Yeah.
trying to find out?
So come up
So we
with
could all, I think that's a
basically
good idea.
3 questions, 4 questions, very simple,
I can put it in your
and
emails
so
too.
everyone can ask the same questions of different libraries.
Okay.
Yeah.
right?
thank
And
you.
Liz, what email are you checking these days? I'm gonna put your other one,
Comcast,
your
yeah.
Comcast one, okay, just in case.
I'm doing the TLO boards.
Yep, good.
Oh.
Okay, questions to ask Beth?
Are we assigning each person a town so that we're not duplicating efforts?
We can,
Okay.
yep, I'm fine with that. Would you like
I
to
can take
claim-
Wyndham.
Would you like to claim Wyndham? Since I just use it as the example. Okay, Beth is gonna take Wyndham. Okay,
I can call Bedford.
okay, Nancy will take Bedford.
I could call Derry.
Derry, great. Okay. Town.
Do we all wanna come, just, I mean, is it, we're just gonna do like one each and that's it, so that gives us,
I think that's
that's
No, I
showing
think
fun.
that's fine.
I think that's
No.
fine.
There's Hooksett, Hudson,
Okay. I'll do Hooksett.
Did someone take
Salem, there's
Oh,
Kelly
Salem.
Library in Salem.
Salem, okay. Maura?
I'll
what's
take the
your call?
Roger Memorial in Hudson.
Hudson? Okay, okay. Jan, did you pick one?
I did not pick one.
Okay.
So,
Do you have a pleasure?
I don't.
Nashua? Oh, Nashua's pretty big, but
Yeah.
Pelham, Manchester.
How about Pelham?
Pelham? Okay. Okay, and what do we want to be our questions that we're
Now,
gonna ask them?
are all the libraries that we just said, are they comparable in size to what we are? Cause if they're a lot smaller, they might be offering more or less. So I think the towns that we call should be comparable
Well, I think
to-
most of those are relatively comparable.
I don't think any of them are considered small libraries.
No, I just mean in terms of like employees. Cause if they have more or less employees, what they offer.
Yeah, I agree with that, but
But then again,
If-
our dynamics of this library is so different than
I
most
think-
libraries, because we have only a few full-time employees and a lot of part-time.
right,
You know,
yeah,
so
there,
that's the-
a majority of our staff is part-time that does not
Yes,
take insurance.
exactly.
So if you're looking for full-time like they may offer insurance to their part-time employees, which we don't know if they do or not. So I think that's hard to
You could ask them.
hard to know. Yeah, oh yeah, definitely.
Do you want to ask how many full-time and part-time employees they have? Or are we gonna start rubbing people the wrong way?
I think that if we start digging.
I mean, all of that
into
information
analysis
is on the,
paralysis.
Okay, so
Yeah, that's
we
what
wanna
I
know
think.
what they pay.
I think 3 questions
Okay,
is good.
let's, come on. We're so close, everybody.
What
Three
their
questions.
contribution,
Okay, what is,
their contribution level for,
For single, for double, and family.
yes.
For,
it might be good to know what plan they have, because
Right.
if they don't, I mean, they could have a different version of Blue Cross Blue Shield and,
are we okay with asking that too?
Mhm.
We wanna
Yeah,
hear
I
that?
would say
Okay.
that.
What
Who are
insurances
their
do you offer?
providers?
Okay.
Yeah.
Hold on one
Yeah, we may find it's
Or
the
the
same.
policy
Yeah.
type.
second. I mean,
well, the Health Trust, which is who we negotiate it with, is,
Distinct stuff.
is a New Hampshire nonprofit that negotiates and does a risk pooling.
Do they have a buyout clause?
Would you like me to put them on the list?
I think that would be helpful.
Yeah.
Do you want those to be the 3 questions?
I mean, we can do more than 3, I mean.
I think the more information we have, the more it becomes like a lot of chefs in the kitchen, and then the community has a lot of input on, like, it just becomes a really big thing, and then we never move on to others.
I'm just gonna be really honest with you, if we put down 48 questions, I am not gonna have time.
No, well, and
Just saying.
quite frankly, it's gonna become invasive to them.
Well, I was gonna say, I think
I
it'd be
think
weird,
it
I think it'd be
needs to
weird
be
about our
something-
calling or emailing too.
Say 3
3
basic
questions,
things,
3.
you know,
So what do you want for the
What
third
do you
question then?
you know, what are your insurance plans? How much percent do you pay towards them? And do you have a buyout clause?
buyout? There you go, boom,
What was
done.
the last one?
Buyout.
Do you have a buyout?
That's fine with me. What could you offer? a
If
buyout?
that information gets us what we're looking for here,
Then we'll be good.
you don't need to add
That's
anything
right.
more. Yes,
Hmm.
Madam
Jan?
Finance?
So, in reading through the Health Trust thing, as a result, we are saddened to say that after careful review and discussion, we, the Health Trust Board of Directors, voted at yesterday's March 20th meeting that if SB 297 passes in its current form, we'll be forced to end our coverages and services effective December 31st, 2025. January groups and June 30th, 2026 for July groups. Health Trust will fulfill obligations through those dates in addition to administration of run-out services. After the full run-out occurs, Health Trust will distribute remaining surplus funds back to member groups that we have proudly served. So apparently there's a Senate Bill 297 that is in process that may in fact put the insurance out of the common risk pool.
Add it to the list.
Fabulous.
I don't know, I think you have to wait and see if
All
something
right, yeah,
passes.
these are our other topics. Let's
Okay,
stay on
so
point here.
I'm gonna go ahead and send this email to us.
Yep.
Yeah.
Everybody here, I put on it, Erin. I
So
don't
to
know
my
what-
understanding, I'm gonna make the changes to the first page there with what
Okay,
you
I'm gonna send that,
typed.
yep.
And then I will bring that to the next meeting. I will also obviously send it out to the group to review before the meeting. Is that, or you will, Helen, excuse
Yep.
me. Is that acceptable?
Yep.
Okay.
So what is our due date for these before the next meeting, I'm assuming?
Yeah, or, I mean, yeah.
Well, I think we
say-
have to vote on this at the next meeting in order to get it to the town on time.
Could you plan to contact, I'm gonna send a preliminary email, and I'll follow up with a phone call if I have to, but can we try to contact them in some way by close of business Friday? And then that way you'll hear back, and then, or by Monday?
Monday would be better.
Okay.
Is what we find out through this survey gonna change what we're going to turn in to the town next week?
Probably not.
So I don't know why we need to contact the libraries. We're looking at a long-term plan. We're gonna contact the libraries to figure out the long-term plan. This is something immediate, just to get to take this off the, to do what the town asks us to do. That's it. Does that make sense to everyone?
Yes.
Well, I thought Jan was requesting to change the family contribution. Are we looking at for that for the next year? Or are you looking for it for this year?
Just let me know.
Well, I just think that if we're gonna go and change the wording in this section, that we should make it as vanilla as possible.
So we still need it by COB Monday then? Correct?
I would think, well, I think it benefits us to know the information. If we don't wanna call, that's okay, we can call later, but,
Can we just make the adjustments that we've talked about that support what the town needs and then reevaluate in a year about the buyout thing, so it gives people time?
Well, it's
to-
not just the buyout, it's the family contribution, which would,
Oh, right.
go for this change. So, COB Monday then, everyone?
Let's try. Maura?
I was just gonna say, the more information we have, I think the better, so let's just get it in by COB Monday, and then it will have a better discussion on it. And then we can decide what to do.
If anyone's having difficulty, just, if you could reach out to me by the weekend, I'll put it up, I can make some time to, I can send emails, that's for sure.
Yeah.
I can do that in the middle of the night, right?
Always.
Okay, so Erin, I'm sending this to you right now.
Okay.
I sent everybody the email with the towns and, the questions that we came up with.
Oh, and I guess if we're asking if they offer a buyout clause, should we ask how much? If they're willing to give that?
Sure, I think that's fine.
You may have to ask for the town person, you may only be asking for the school, the library person, it depends on how it's organized.
And their policies may be online, so you may just be able to look online at their
Right.
policies.
Okay. Sorry, I'm just trying to. Okay. We good? Okay. Alright, Jan's gonna get herself sworn in for next week. Okay.
You too, or have you already been
She's
sworn?
all set.
Oh, you already did? Okay.
Okay, can I get a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn.
Second. Nancy, seconded by Liz, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.